Welcome to the Boxer Briefs, a presentation of the Independence Caucus. This is Boxer Brief number 2, Deficit Attention Disorder, the Barbara Boxer's top 360,000 reasons for spending money we don't have. Now on the plus side, Barbara Boxer knows a deficit when she sees one. Here she is talking about the proposed federal budget for 2006 when the national debt was sitting at $8.1 trillion. She said, we would be looking at deficits that are ruinous. The truth is the deficits are ruinous, but we see new initiatives in this budget that obviously are not paid for. Very good, Barbara, but on the minus side, since 2005, Barbara then voted 4 straight times to increase the national debt to $9.8 trillion in 2007, $10.6 trillion in 2008, $11.3 trillion just 3 months later, and then she voted to shatter the $12 trillion mark just 4 months after that. So it was kind of surprising that just 2 months after that 4th straight vote to perpetuate those additional ruinous deficits, Barbara stood up with a straight face and announced that our country was still suffering from 8 years of the Bush administrations, and all it brought us was a deep recession, deficits, and debt. Wouldn't that be the same debt that you voted for, Barbara? Looks to me like a bad case of deficit attention disorder. So here's a question for you. Since Barbara Boxer recognized just how ruinous those deficits were back in 2005, what could be distracting her from the truth enough to cause her to consistently vote for things that make it even more ruinous? Well, a careful look at the evidence would suggest that the cause of this deficit attention disorder is, in a word, earmarks. Now there's a lot of definitions floating around about exactly what is an earmark. So even though I don't have a teleprompter, let me be clear. An earmark, in my opinion, is a specific number of federal tax dollars that are given to specific recipients with no competitive bid process, and it's given just because an elected official said so. Now why would we be handing over money without any competitive bidding process just because elected officials say so? Well, the answer to that is because it's good for business, the getting reelected business. See, congressmen and senators use pork barrel earmarks to pay back the big money special interest groups who are funding their perpetual election campaigns. Because that's how Congress gets congressmen and senators to vote over and over again for more of those ruinous deficits even though they know better. Here's the deal, they say, you vote for this irresponsible bloated federal budget that we can't pay for, and we'll let you stuff in a bunch of earmarks so you can pay back your special interest campaign donors. For example, do you remember back in Boxer Brief number 1 when we introduced you to the National Council of La Raza, the AILA immigration ally who wants to defeat any initiatives that would require our police force to do things like, have the police enforce our immigration laws? Well, in exchange for the minimum of the $355,000 in donations from La Raza's sponsors, Barbara Boxer got La Raza a $5 million earmark to capitalize their Hope Fund for nationwide community development activities. Now this earmark was awarded without any competitive bidding process, so we have no idea if $5 million represents a good value for our money. And we don't even know if NCLR is a qualified vendor to provide this kind of service. And in the first place, we don't even know if we need $5 million for nationwide community development activities, but we did it anyway because Barbara Boxer said so. Now what we also know for sure is that thanks to this earmark from Barbara Boxer, Council of La Raza now has $5 million of your tax money to further advance their agenda of stopping police forces from enforcing our laws, while the rest of us who might not agree with that agenda, we're going to have to do the best we can on our own dime with whatever time we can fit in after working all day. So, what's left in your wallet? Well, California, as Matt Damon would say, how do you like them apples? Well, here's a whole bushel full of other problems caused by earmarks, because they are behind the explosive growth in lobbyists prowling the halls of Washington, D.C. And to show you why that is, we're going to show you a lobbying firm hard at work. Meet Alcalde and Fay, bipartisan lobbyists from Washington, D.C. And the story we're about to tell you tells you everything you need to know about today's lobbyists. We call it the Culpeper County Caper. See, back in 2004, Culpeper County in Virginia wanted to build a sports complex for their county, which they intended to pay for by issuing bonds. That's pretty appropriate. But then they were approached by a representative from Alcalde and Fay who expressed optimism that funds for this $3.5 million complex could be tied to one or more federal appropriation bills. And furthermore, if they paid Alcalde and Fay $5,000 a month for 18 months, in exchange, they could get $3.5 million of your federal tax money earmarked from Congress to pay for their sports complex. Now let's look at what this Culpeper caper really means. First, it means Alcalde and Fay is a lobbying group that goes looking for customers. And when they find them, what they're selling are federal tax dollars, in this case for less than 3 cents on the dollar. And finally, they are absolutely confident that they can get those federal dollars whenever they want them, thanks to the earmarking process. Well, California, if you love this little story, you're going to love the sequel, because it turns out that there are Culpeper County capers going on all over California right now. Because a quick check of the earmarks requested by Senator Boxer in the 2010 federal budget shows that at least one earmark is being asked for 7 California counties who have hired Alcalde and Fay to lobby her for those earmarks: Contra Costa, Fresno, Lake, Mendocino, Monterey, Sonoma, and Tulare counties. In fact, Boxer is stuck in earmarks for 69 different government entities, and since 1998 they have collectively spent more than $115 million of your local tax dollars hiring lobbyists to chase those earmarks. And those lobbyists have then used portions of those tax dollars to make contributions to your elected officials, including more than $360,000 to none other than Barbara Boxer. Now just think about that for a minute. If Butte County took your local tax dollars and made direct campaign contributions to a sitting senator, no matter which party they're in, at least half the citizens would be pretty outraged. But if instead Butte County pays a lobbying firm like the Ferguson Group $610,000, and then, the Ferguson Group just happens to use a portion of that money to donate a minimum of $18,800 to Barbara Boxer, problem solved. Are you okay with that, California? Are you okay with your city and county governments funneling your tax dollars into the incumbents' re-election campaigns through high-priced lobbyists? I mean, it's not like our local governments have been having any money problems in California or anything, is it? Now, before you answer that question, here you should know what your local government, the lobbyists, and Mrs. Boxer are going to tell you in defense of these earmark campaign money laundering schemes, and it's a big red herring. Barbara Boxer will say, the earmarks I've secured are bringing home money that benefit California. I'm making sure we get our share of the of the pie. Well, there's only one thing with that argument, because while it's true that earmarks are allowing Senator Boxer to bring us home a slice of the pie, that same system is also having her bring us the bill for the other 49 slices of pie. So, in 2008 and 9, Barbara Boxer brought home $1.3 billion in earmarks, but that's only 3.5% of the $38 billion in earmarks that were handed off to everybody else. And since California is 12% of American taxpayers and they're only bringing home 3.5% of the earmarks, that means California taxpayers are having to fork out $3.54 to pay for every dollar Boxer brings home to us. Well, that's only good for 45th place in per capita earmarks brought home across the country. So not only is Barbara Boxer corrupting our political process by playing this game, as an added bonus, she's not very good at it, and she's losing the game. Well, California, how do you like them apples? Well, there's one more thing you should know about Barbara Boxer and earmarks. About 7 months ago, on April 2nd, 2009, Senate Amendment number 967 for earmark reform was proposed to prohibit earmarks going to private companies without a competitive bidding process, and it would mandate that a senator couldn't trade congressional earmarks for political favors, including campaign contributions. Well, our senator sprang into action and she voted against this amendment. Are you kidding me? Now the question becomes, how are we going to fix this? And to be honest, we thought we'd never ask, because the Independence Caucus, along with other 912 groups in California, have a better idea. We're going to elect a better senator for California named Chuck DeVore, who is committed to fiscal responsibility through adherence to constitutional authority. So we're going to continue telling you about more of these Boxer briefs, culminating in the Boxer Big Stick Tea Party from November 7th to 13th. We want to invite you. We want you to help us send a personal message to Barbara Boxer so she can't dismiss you as AstroTurf. So here's what you want to do. First, forward this link of this video to everyone you know in California. They need to know this stuff. Second, join the Independence Caucus and participate in helping us vet and endorse great congressional candidates in all 53 districts in California. And third, check out that Big Stick Tea Party and help us deliver the Big Stick to Senator Boxer from November 7th to 13th. You're going to find out all about it at www.icaucus.org. And sincerely, the Combined California Steering Committee of the Independence Caucus. We'll see you there.